One of the most common questions that I get from people when I'm getting them pre qualified is how will I ever afford that down payment requirement? And how long will it take me to get it together? My name is Candy Williams, and I've been helping Texas families purchase homes, creating security and wealth through homeownership for over 20 years. And this is a question that I get a lot, and I love to be able to provide some of those solutions. So today we're talking about some of those tools that will help you get there faster. Now, these programs do exist to bridge that gap, and the difference could mean owning months or even years earlier. And this is important because that time that you don't own that home could be costing you money. So, for instance, let's say that you find a house that you like and it's $300,000 and you can pay for it, you can afford it. Your credit is good, your income is good, you can make the payments, but coming up with all of that money up front might be a problem. And if that's the case, if you had to wait 2 years or 3 years, let's say, to buy that home, that $300,000 house could end up being $330,000 by that third year, in which case you're paying more for that house when you're ready, which means more money that you have to come up with. But also, that is equity that you could have been gaining when you bought that house as opposed to paying it to someone else. So 3 years from now, you could own a $330,000 house that you paid $300,000 for. Instead, you're paying $330,000 for a house that you could have paid $300,000 for. So that's important, and that can actually cost you a lot of money. So let's talk about the types of programs that are out there. First off, there are grants, and grants have no repayment. As soon as you close, that money is yours. You don't have to pay it back. That pays for your fees or your down payment. That's equity you have in the property, and you're done. The second one I want to talk about, though, are forgivable loans. And these loans mean that you, as long as you meet the requirements, and let's say that you own the home for 3 years, you continue to live in it, you don't sell it, you don't refinance it, then they automatically release the lien. And I say lien because you will be signing second mortgage paperwork at closing. You will have a second mortgage for as long as that lien is in existence, but then it's released when you meet all the requirements. For instance, I know in Texas, we have several forgivable liens that are available. They are forgiven after 3 years, and then a copy of the release of the lien is sent to you. It's recorded at the courthouse, and you no longer owe that money. Another one is a deferred payment loan, and that means that maybe you owe that money until you sell the house. So if you borrow $10,000, you don't have to pay it back in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, but you do have to pay it back when you sell the house. So if you keep that house for 30 years, then you pay back $10,000 at the end of 30 years, which means that there is no accrued interest. There are no payments due on that money. It is paid back, but it's paid back obviously at a lower value than what you borrowed because of inflation. So, how might you qualify for some of these programs? A lot of people think that you have to be a first time home buyer in order to qualify. So, first off, let's define first time home buyer. That is anyone who has not owned a home in the past 3 years. If you owned a home 5 years ago or 10 years ago, you might still be considered a first time home buyer if you haven't owned a home in the past 3 years. So, you might qualify for some of those programs, even though you've owned in the past. But there are a lot of programs out there that are not limited to first time home buyers. So don't disqualify yourself before you look into it. Some of the other requirements might be income limitations. So you might have to make under a certain amount of money in order to qualify for loans. You might have to be in a certain area. Some of them are managed by cities or counties or states, and they're only available to people who are in that geographic area. That's pretty common. The other thing to keep in mind is that you will probably need a homebuyer education class. This is typically a class that you take online. It's either free or it's inexpensive, and it will take you a few hours to complete. You'll complete it, you'll get the certificate, send it to us, and then we make sure that that's been taken care of, and that's one of the requirements that you've met. So those are some of the qualifying factors. They're not really stringent in most cases. You may not qualify for all of them. There are programs that do not have any income limitations, but you won't know until we look into the programs that you qualify for. So what are some of the pros and cons to these programs? First of all, There's not really free money for most of them. There is a cost associated with them. A lot of times it will be a higher interest rate, or there are some fees associated with managing the program. So they do charge origination fees or funding fees or management fees. So there are fees that are associated with them. That may either reduce the amount that you're getting, or you may be asking the seller to pay for some of your closing costs. The other thing is that most of these are not going to cover all of your cost. They may cover your down payment, but then you still have to come up with a closing cost. A lot of times we're able to match up this down payment assistance with seller provided contributions so that you can come out of pocket with less. I've had lots of buyers buy with down payment assistance and seller contributions, and you do still have to come up with your earnest money, but you may get some of that back depending on how much money you're getting from the seller and as part of your down payment assistance. There are larger down payment assistance programs that could cover almost everything, but you do have some requirements. You do have earnest money, you will have an appraisal, you will have inspections, and that is money that you do need to have up front. So talk to us about what it is that you're going to need up front, even before we take your down payment assistance and your seller contribution into consideration. So, what are your next steps? When you're ready, we'll explore your options together. There are lots of different programs out there. Some of them you'll be eligible for, and some of them you won't. We won't know until we go through everything with you and get your information. So, this isn't something that you're going to just automatically come in and say, okay, this is the down payment assistance I get. There's a lot of information that we need to get to make sure you qualify and that you're eligible for it. But when you're ready, reach out. You can call or text anytime or set up a time on my calendar. No pressure, just clarity and a plan.